Hello, and thank you for joining us. My name is Jessica Wallo. I am the Vice President of Programs and Services with United Neighborhood Centers of Northeastern Pennsylvania. We are a nonprofit social service agency meeting the needs of families, youth, senior citizens, and new immigrants to our community. United Neighborhood Centers can help with a variety of needs, such as food, clothing, shelter, literacy and education, budgeting, and support for your physical, mental, emotional, and social wellness and needs. Today, we're here to talk about the COVID-19 crisis and how it affects individuals mentally, socially, and emotionally. I have here with us Sarah Bodner. She's the director of the Community Health Department with United Neighborhood Centers, and she's also a clinical social worker. She's going to talk a little bit about her role as a clinical social worker and how she provides mental health, wellness, counseling to individuals who are struggling with an array of mental health barriers. Sarah, thank you for joining us today.
Sure, Jessica. Nice to see you.
Nice to see you. Sarah, what are some of the diagnoses that people have come to you to discuss in counseling?
People see a counselor or a therapist for a lot of different reasons. Some of the most common diagnoses that I see are depression, bipolar disorder, generalized anxiety disorder. Some people come who have a history of trauma. I see people who are struggling with addiction or who are in recovery or new in recovery. People also sometimes want to talk to somebody about relationship conflict or just general life stressors, also including loss and grief. So I meet with people with a variety of presenting issues that they're dealing with at this time in their life.
Okay. Do you see people of all ages?
I meet with people who are 18 and over. If there was someone who was under 18, or often my clients will say that their child would benefit from seeing a counselor, we'll talk about the resources in the area that would be more appropriate for the child. Also, people can call their insurance company. And their insurance company can point them in the direction of resources that accept their insurance, are in their area, and maybe have any kind of specialties that they're looking for.
Okay, that's good to know. Thank you. Now, why would someone come to see a counselor? Can't they just discuss these concerns with a family member or a friend that they trust?
Some people can, but what I've heard from my clients is that it can be very beneficial to hear an objective perspective. Sometimes family and friends are too close to the situation. They also are so close to the person that they just really want to help, and they'll resort to giving concrete advice. Well, you should do this. This is what you need to do. A therapist's job, my job, is not to tell you, do this, this is how you do it, but to engage the client in an exploration of them figuring out for themselves what's the best course of action, and reflecting on what they need to do. And they come to that conclusion themselves. So I don't sit here and say, do this, do this. We explore it together and the pros and cons of different decisions they can make.
Okay, great. Let's say that I'm feeling sad or nervous. Does that automatically mean that I should seek therapy?
So I do believe that talking with someone, talking with a therapist can benefit anybody, for sure. Some people have a good support system in place. They have a good set of coping skills. And so when something comes up, such as the COVID-19 crisis, something that would cause them to experience symptoms of depression or anxiety, they have the toolkit already established to help them manage something like that. They know what works for them. They know how to manage their stress. They have people around them that are supportive, and they're generally good. However, some people need that extra element of support, depending on the event, depending on their symptoms. And some of the more significant symptoms that someone would want to keep an eye out for that would indicate it might be helpful to seek out counseling. Look at the 7 days in the week or the 30 days in the month. Are you sad more frequently than you're not sad? Or are you feeling anxious or on edge more days than not? It's a real objective way to look at it. 7 days in the week, are more than 4 or 5, are you experiencing these symptoms? It might be beneficial to come talk to somebody. Often frequent tearfulness that is sometimes unexplained, that you just feel like you're on the verge of tears all the time. Feeling so nervous that you can't breathe, can't sit still, pacing around your apartment, excessive worry about something that someone else might say that's not a big deal. So experiencing unusual worriness, and trouble focusing. Certainly if your symptoms are affecting your daily living, so your job, your relationships, if your symptoms of depression, for example, are affecting your ability to communicate with your spouse or parent your child, or if you're feeling so nervous you can't even get out of bed to get to work. Certainly that's something that would require some more help. If you find yourself doing things that are putting yourself at risk, so some impulsive decision making, of course, disordered eating, not sleeping or sleeping too much. In the line of impulsive decision making, I see some individuals who their first indicator that they were experiencing bipolar disorder was that they gambled away all of their money, as one example. So identifying that you're doing these things that are putting yourself, your family, your livelihood at risk. Sure. Or using substances is, of course, an indicator. Most importantly, if you're having thoughts of harming yourself or someone else, that is absolutely something that I would want to talk to you about. Those thoughts can be common when people are feeling severe depression, severe anxiety, or side effects of other mental health diagnoses. And they're definitely things you want to talk about with a professional.
Absolutely. Thank you. That's all that explains.
I also just wanted to say, we're talking about these diagnoses, depression, anxiety. People don't have to have a clinical diagnosis to see a therapist either. They can be going through what's typically a regular life event, such as experiencing the death or a loss of a family member, retirement, child leaving to go to college, a loss of a job, having a baby. Women experience postpartum depression. It's extremely common. And so there's not a clinical name for a lot of those things, but certainly some people have a difficult time adjusting to these very regular life events. And that's something that would warrant talking with a professional as well.
Absolutely. Thank you. Now, when I think about a therapy session, what I imagine is, somebody lying on a couch talking about their hopes and dreams. Is that what it's really like? Can you tell me what to expect?
Classic image. It's Sigmund Freudian image of someone lying on the couch talking about their dreams, the therapist not really saying much at all and just taking notes, and asking, so how do you feel about that? Yeah, that's how it's depicted in movies and television sometimes. Some therapists do take that approach. That is still a very common theory that some therapists implement. So there's many different approaches, and some people do still like to see a therapist that takes that perspective. I personally implement the theory of positive psychology. So it centers around rewiring your brain to see more positive things around you. Some of those activities include gratitude journaling, so focusing on the good things that you have, not the huge elements, but something as simple as someone holds a door for you in the store, a nice interaction with a stranger, a sunny day, the feel of sun on your face. The example I give all my clients is on my way to work, I drive down a road that has traffic light after traffic light after traffic light. And when they're all red, I'm in my car annoyed and tense and angry. But when they're all green, I tend to just drive right through them. And so positive psychology is about reshaping your way of thinking to instead, when they're all green, to celebrate and to give that more weight than the red lights. So something as small as getting a green light when you're running late, that's something that deserves your focus rather than the red light. So that's what positive psychology is that rewiring of your brain, that the positive stuff matters more. So I do a lot of those activities with my clients. I also practice cognitive behavioral therapy, which in a nutshell is about looking at an event or something or someone that upsets us and shaping the way we look at that event, which changes as a result the way we feel about it.
Okay, great. Thank you. I really like what you said about the positivity. You know, it's as simple as a hello, you know, and it's the little things in life. So that's great.
Yeah, it's a daily practice. For some reason, as humans, it's very natural to focus on the negative things. It's harder to focus on the good things. So it's a daily practice of just trying to reshape your common way of thinking throughout the day.
Sarah, can you tell me, are there any special services that you offer?
So right now, during the COVID-19 crisis, we are offering telecounseling. So I've been speaking with my clients over the telephone. If my clients have Zoom capabilities or any kind of video chatting capabilities, I can do that as well. So if someone were in need of counseling now, but we're kind of told not to leave our house and certainly not to engage with other people, you can still give me a call and we can talk about the availability of sessions, starting our sessions over the phone during this time. Before this and after this, because there is an after, I'll be back in the office and I do offer pet therapy. We have a therapy dog. His name is Leo. And he joins in on the counseling sessions whenever the client is interested. He doesn't have to be there if the client is afraid or allergic to animals. But he is there as a calming presence. I've seen instances where my client is getting emotional, tearful, maybe a little fidgety and on edge, talking about something that's causing her stress. And I watched Leo get up from where he was laying and go walk over to her. And she was able to put her hand on his head, and it kind of grounded her in that moment, something that I couldn't provide. So I've seen a lot of those examples and it's just beautiful to watch. They say research shows that within just a few minutes of interacting with a dog, your blood pressure drops, your cortisol drops. Cortisol is the stress hormone in our bodies. It can help with memory, help with attention span. Your serotonin increases, which affects our mood. I also have seen, particularly with seniors, it can help with fine and gross motor skills and balance. So I have had clients who are senior citizens, and Leo in the session, they will bend down to pet him. And so the act of kind of squatting down or bending down is helping them with flexibility, helping them with balance. And then also petting him is helping with their fine motor skills. Many of them experience arthritis. And so it's helping them move in ways that they wouldn't if there wasn't a dog there. So it helps physically, emotionally, and physiologically. Also unique to coming to see a counselor at United Neighborhood Centers is the clients have access to the wraparound services that UNC offers. So you'll hear a lot about some of these services in future episodes, but UNC offers help with housing and eviction prevention. We have a food bank and a clothing room that people can drop in to help with their emergent needs. We have a community health department, which is my department, that have health navigators that can help people access untapped health resources that they're in need of, specialists, appointments, or a medication that they couldn't previously afford. We have education programs, we have recreational programs from children to older adults. And so rather than me saying, here, follow up, here's the number, I can contact the staff at these departments that might be able to serve my client or their families. And it's seamless access. It's a warm handoff. So by coming to UNC for counseling, you're in the door, you have direct access to these other services and me to help guide you in accessing them.
That's wonderful,
Also,
especially if somebody's feeling overwhelmed. That's really going to help out. I don't know where to go. I'm struggling with a housing situation, or I don't know what to do with my children after school. So that's an awesome opportunity that you can just give them a nice warm handoff.
right. I also like to point out that for my services, I'm pretty easy to access. So sometimes in a counseling office, you have to go through a couple of automated menus. You have to go through a receptionist to schedule an appointment. Appointments are scheduled right with me. I do the intake. You're not, spilling your story to an assistant or another paraprofessional before you see the clinician. You're contacted by me. You're scheduled with me, and your first session is with me. And it continues on that way. So I think that's unique at UNC as well.
Sarah, to take it back a step, you had mentioned telecounseling. Now, I'm not too familiar with that. Can you tell me what that is?
So it's the same format as in person, except it's over the phone.
Okay.
So we're doing telephone because of the restrictions of being face-to-face right now due to the coronavirus. But we still set aside time for 45 to 60-minute sessions as we would if it was in person. We set a time. I sit privately in my office or in my home to give focus to my client, and I ask that they do the same. So get themselves comfortable and in a place where they won't be interrupted. And we talk and we pick up where we left off when we were meeting in person. If it's a new client, I'll do an intake over the phone and start off with getting that information and seeing what your goals are for therapy. And then hopefully we would eventually meet in person once some restrictions are lifted and our society gets back to normal a little bit.
Yeah. Great. Thank you, Sarah. Now, if somebody wants to get more information, where do they go? Who do they call?
Sure. They can call me at my office. Again, I'm not working in the office most days, but I am checking my voicemail. So you can call our office at 570-346-6203. You'll get a voice my voice with a list of extensions. My extension is 111. And so you can leave a message, and I will be checking those voicemails and returning any calls. So certainly if you're interested, want to know more, want to know if your insurance covers this service, just feel free to give me a call and we can talk further about it.
Thank you, Sarah. Thank you so much for taking the time to talk with us about your programming and what you have to offer. Here at United Neighborhood Centers, we are here for you. We're here to support you. Tune into future episodes where we take some time with different staff members to talk about food access and emergency services, housing stability, smoking cessation, and bereavement. I also want to take a moment to thank ECTV for having us here, and thank you to the viewers for watching us. We'll see you next time.
Thank you.